So a little bit about the history of low-carb diets. The earliest record I could find of the use of these types of diets was in the 1800s, when ketogenic diets were used to treat diabetes. And believe it or not, in 1869, the first appearance of a low-carb diet for the treatment of overweight and obesity appeared. It was called the Banting diet, and it's recently been reinvented, and you can see this little Banting pocketbook guide. In 1921, the beginning of the use of ketogenic diets to treat epilepsy. And then in 1958, sort of modern era of low-carb diets for treatment of overweight. And this Eat Fat and Grow Slim. And then this one I thought was rather interesting, the Drinking Man's Diet. And believe it or not, you fuel your body with a mix of ketones and alcohol. Really brilliant. And then 1967, you might remember the Stillman diet. And then in 72, this was sort of when the low-carb craze really took hold with the Dr. Atkins diet revolution. And then 1979, really the first paleo-type diet appeared, and it was called the Stone Age Diet book. In 78, the Scarsdale diet. 92, the Atkins diet revolution. It a little bit more liberal than his 72 diet. And then in 1999, we had the birth of the Weston A. Price Foundation. You heard a little bit about them already, but they really promote a very high animal fat diet, and they are very anti-vegetarian. And then in 2002, we had the paleo diet got a huge shot in the arm with Lauren Cordain's book, The Paleo Diet. 2003, we got South Beach, and then 2007, we started to see a bunch of books and articles from Gary Taubes. And then 2013, believe it or not, paleo diets became #1 in Google weight loss methods searches. And then 2016 is when keto diets actually, I think, almost surpassed paleo diets, becoming all the rage. So what is a ketogenic diet, or a keto diet for short? Well, it's basically an eating plan that's very low in carbohydrates and very, very high in fat. As we mentioned earlier, they were originally designed to treat diabetes and epilepsy, and they're now among the most popular weight loss diets, as you probably are well aware. The basic premise is if the body doesn't have access to glucose, which is of course our preferred fuel, through the diet, we will burn off our glycogen stores, and then the body will enter a state of ketosis where an alternative fuel called ketones are produced to supply the body's energy needs. And it puts this is what is spouted off, it puts the body into a high-fat burning state where stored fats are released, and of course this promotes weight loss. And just so you know, there are 3 types of ketone bodies: acetoacetate, which is technically a ketone, and it gets converted quite quickly to beta-hydroxybutyric acid, which is BHB or acetone. And BHB is the one ketone that's actually not technically a ketone, but it looks like a ketone, smells like a ketone, and so it's, for all intents purposes, it's used and thought of as a ketone. So just so you know, this is the macronutrient sort of distribution of the keto diets that are used mainly for weight loss. So about 75% of calories from fat, about 20 from protein, and about 5 from carbohydrates. And so this varies a little bit, sometimes a little higher in fat and lower in protein, but carbohydrates are almost always 5% or less. This is the classic ketogenic diet that's used for epilepsy. It's about 90% fat, 6 to 8% protein, and 2 to 4% carbohydrate. It's quite shocking, actually. So the keto used for weight loss is a little more liberal. So what foods are permitted? Well, basically you're looking at the base of the pyramid being meat and eggs and high-fat dairy. Milk isn't allowed because it's got too many carbohydrates, but cheese is, and sour cream is. Fats and oils, lots of them, and then some green vegetables, a little bit of nuts, seeds, and berries. And you can see on the bottom, anything with any appreciable amount of carbohydrate is eliminated. And I guess it kind of boils down to, and this is taken directly from a keto website, eat fat, eat meat, poultry, eggs, and fish. The fattier, the better. Eat non-starchy vegetables, and that's it. This is a sample recipe just to give you a flavor for the type of food these people are eating. So 3 pounds of ground beef and 6 cups of cheese, and then a little bit of peppers thrown in. And so you've got, in 1/8 of the recipe, almost 800 calories, about 61 grams of fat, which is 70% of the calories, about 30 grams of saturated fats, 7 grams or about 4% of calories from carbohydrate, 49 grams of protein, 205 milligrams of cholesterol, and less than a half a gram of fiber.